Why doesn't the hero reveal himself and tell us all your name? You do have a name. My name is Gladiator. How dare you show your back to me? Slave, you will remove your helmet and tell me your name. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son and husband to a murdered wife. And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. That line was such a brilliance of Ridley Scott that it was an instant hit with the moviegoers. One thing that everybody misunderstands all the time is that gladiators never fought to the death. Sure, there was brutal hacking, but a fight to the death was very rare. Why? Because gladiators were a costly affair. The trainers would spend a lot of time and money making sure that they were fed, trained, and taken care of very meticulously. It was considered very generous of the sponsors if they let a gladiator get killed. But that wasn't how it used to be. The first gladiator is believed to have come around in 264 BC at the funeral of a distinguished aristocrat, Julius Brutus Pera. The spectacle was arranged in his honor of his death. According to the Roman writers, Tertullian and Festus, it was believed that the gladiators would fight alongside graves as a crude substitute for human sacrifice. Romans believed that human blood purified the soul and held passage into the netherworld. As these games gained widespread popularity during the reign of Julius Caesar, the one famous Roman everybody knows, and he would hold fights in honor of his deceased father and daughter. As the crowd gained a taste for blood, these matches were turned into spectacles that everyone watched and enjoyed. In the early days, prisoners of war and slaves would be turned as gladiators. But later on, free men would turn out to become gladiators on their own. The reason? Fame. Gladiators were hailed among the lower classes. They were the current equivalent of our movie stars. They get to live a life which we can't. Gladiators would also be looked at as sex symbols. Women would wear jewelry dipped in gladiator blood, and some would even mix gladiator sweat in facial creams and cosmetics. It was considered an aphrodisiac. Of the arena, gladiators would bond as brothers in arms, form unions, and look after each other. If someone died in the arena, they would make sure they got a proper funeral. An inscription would be carved out in their honor. And if they had any dependents, they would make sure they were duly compensated. When the Colosseum opened in 80 AD, these games had evolved into a massively organized sport. It was like the Olympics. These fighters were divided into several classes based on record, skill, and experience. Irrespective of these classes, these fighters also had different types based on the shielding they carried. The Murmillo had a shield which would cover his body from shoulder to calf, while the Thrax had a square shield which covered just his torso. And the Hoplomatches had an even smaller shield, just this size. There were also other unshielded gladiators, like the retirees, who had just a shoulder guard but used several weapons. He would use a trident for long range, a net for mid range, and a dagger for near face-offs. And this is where it gets really interesting. These fighters wouldn't be paired in the same classes. For example, the Murmillo would be paired along with the retirees, a classic David versus Goliath style battle. The unshielded and fast versus the shielded and slow. This was done in purpose to make sure the fights would turn out to be really interesting. And like I said before, gladiator deaths was very rare, and it was decided by the sponsors if the audience craved for it. The Roman civilization is seen as a pinnacle from where we draw a lot of inspirations from. But if we delve deeper into it, I think it's quite ironic. The citizens, the working class people, had a thirst for blood. They took great pleasure in this barbaric form of entertainment, calling the shots on who lived, who died, and how the games went on. While the gladiators, on the other hand, lived by rules and had honor and integrity. I think this speaks volumes about who the Romans really were. We have come a long way since then. The world has changed so much. Through sword wieldings, to gun firings, and to nuclear bomb droppings, we have changed to a world where we draw blood with words, religion, and work. We have changed a lot from the gladiators. Or have we? Over to the Master.